Hello, my name is Tabitha Brotherton, and today I'm going to take you through informal observation number 3, the read aloud, practice, and research synthesis. And this is in fulfillment of 19 TAC 20, chapter F and 19, standard 1. Context and standards, aligning our practice with the Texas state standards to ensure professional competency and learner-centered instruction. The key alignments are as follows: 19 TAC 228 subchapter F, demonstrating professional core competencies via recorded instructional delivery and field supervisor evaluation. Standard 1, learner-centered teaching, selecting materials that support diverse social, emotional, and cognitive interests. Objective, achieve a 15 to 20 minute benchmark presentation demonstrating evidence of reflective librarianship. Literature review. 2 key research articles form the foundation of this read aloud practice: Bridging Text Selection and Oral Delivery. This is Hanson and Zambo 2010, called Boys in the Club, Exploring Positive Male Archetypes with Preschool Males Through Transactional Literacy. SanaCore 2000, Promoting the Lifetime Reading Habits in Middle School Students, Oral Delivery Mechanics and Engagement Strategies. Strategic goal, merging delivery mechanics, which is the how to read, with text selection theories, what to read, to create an optimal literacy event. Identity and text selection. The transactional approach, readers build stronger literacy identities through meaningful text-to-self connections. They need to see themselves in books, not just other people, but they need to be able to relate. Oh, I can see that. I can see myself in that. This is also about overcoming the disengagement bias. Boisterous or competitive behaviors indicate narrative engagement, not non-compliance. Archetype selection. Positive characters, king, magician, lover, warrior, help explore values like friendship and responsibility. Then we have building meaningful connections through strategic text choices. Oral delivery mechanics. Intonational patterns. So this is where you're modifying your pitch, stress, and juncture to convey narrative meaning and character moods. The power of nonverbal acts. Your facial expressions like frowning, and sound effects like gasping to maintain listener focus. Strategic pauses and prediction maps, prompting students to make, confirm, or refute narrative predictions. I do this a lot in the classroom, and I think, and especially with speaking with professors, that I would not pause as much and predict as much in the library setting as I do in the classroom. So I might do a lot of the prediction and things like that before we begin the story, maybe get some interest in it. And then we can talk about the rest after the story. Then we also have sensory engagement, where you would be combining all elements for maximum literacy impact. This is a huge thing that I've already done in my classroom a lot. And it can be anything from setting up my classroom to look like whatever we're doing in the story. Like if we are going into our fairy tale unit, I've got different tapestries that look like castles. When we're going into our Greek mythology, I've got a bunch of, again, like photo backdrop tapestries that look like ancient Rome, ancient Greece, just to kind of give it that extra little element. So when you're in there, you're all immersed. It's not just the read aloud, but all of these different things that you can put together to just make it even more magical for that maximum impact. Action plan. The read aloud lesson. A step-by-step instructional sequence integrating SanaCore's oral delivery mechanics and Hanson and Zambo's transactional text selection strategies. There's your pre-reading, introduce your book cover, initiate prediction map, activate prior schema to see what they already know. Active reading, maintain eye contact, use pitch and stress changes. Those are SanaCore's techniques. And then the guided transaction, model text to text and text to self connections. Hanson and Zambo book club style. Post-reading, so afterwards, this is when we're going to use the inferential critical thinking questions to deepen comprehension and personal problem solving. Transition to performance. Developing a lifetime reading habit must be embraced as one of the most basic skills to be fostered. And this is one of my favorite quotes after doing the readings that I almost kind of want to put up in my classroom. as a reading teacher and getting kids to read on their own and not a forced textbook, I think it's really important that, once they get into that habit and they can find things that they enjoy, it's so important because it's something that will carry them and they'll be able to carry forever. Read aloud choice. The read aloud lesson. Again, this will be a step-by-step instructional sequence integrating SanaCore's oral delivery mechanics and Hanson and Zambo's transactional text selection strategies. I chose The Legend of the Blue Bonnet by Tommy DePaola, and I chose this particular one because we live near what some people call Blue Bonnet City in Ennis, Texas, and there is a huge Blue Bonnet season, like a very big tourist thing. There's a festival. It's a really big deal for a lot of the students around here, both boys and girls. It's just a huge thing. And I like to take this book. They're very interested in it. A lot of times we'll talk about, even depending on age level, I've done things where we will plant our own bluebonnets. I have some really amazing watercolors that we've done in the past where the kids will create their own beautiful pieces of art. We'll go deeper into the different legends, but I like it because it also hits with a lot of the Indigenous community. And so today we are going to be reading The Legend of the Blue Bonnet, an old tale of Texas retold and illustrated by Tommy DePaola. Great spirits, the land is dying. Your people are dying too. The long line of dancers sang. Tell us, what have we done to anger you? End this drought. Save your people. Tell us what we must do so you will send the rain that will bring back life. For 3 days, the dancers danced to the sound of the drums, and for 3 days, the people called Comanche watched and waited. And even though the hard winter was over, no healing rains came. Drought and famine are hardest on the very young and the very old. Among the few children left was a small girl named She Who Is Alone. She sat by herself watching the dancers. In her lap was a doll made from buckskin, a warrior doll. The eyes, nose, and mouth were painted on with the juice of berries. It wore beaded leggings and a belt of polished bone. On its head were brilliant blue feathers from the bird who cries, Jay, Jay, Jay. She loved her doll very much. Soon, She Who Is Alone said to her doll, the shaman will go off alone to the top of the hill and listen for the words of the great spirits. Then we will know what to do so that once more the rains will come and the earth will be green and alive. The buffalo will be plentiful and the people will be rich again. As she talked, she thought of the mother who made the doll, of the father who brought the blue feathers. She thought of the grandfather, the grandmother she had never known. They were all like shadows. It seemed so long ago that they had died from the famine. The people had named her and cared for her. The warrior doll was the only thing she had left from those distant days. The sun is setting, the runner called as he ran through the camp. The shaman is returning. The people gathered in a circle and the shaman spoke. I have heard the words of the great spirits, he said. The people have become selfish. For years they have taken from the earth without giving anything back. The great spirits say the people must sacrifice. We must make a burnt offering of the most valued possessions among us. The ashes of this offering shall then be scattered to the 4 points of the earth, the home of the winds. When the sacrifice is made, drought and famine will cease. Life will be restored to the earth and to the people. The people sang a song of thanks to the great spirits for telling them what they must do. I am sure it's not my new bow that the great spirits want, the warrior said. Or my special blanket, a woman added, as everyone went to their teepees to talk and think over what the great spirits had asked. Everyone, that is, except she who is alone. She held her doll tightly to her heart. You, she said, looking at the doll, you are my most valued possession. It is you the great spirits want. And she knew what she must do. As the council fires died out and the teepee flaps began to close, the small girl returned to the teepee where she slept to wait. The night outside was still, except for the distant sound of the night bird with the red wings. Soon everyone in the teepee was asleep, except she who is alone. Under the ashes of the teepee fire, one stick still glowed. She took it and quietly crept out into the night. She ran to the place on the hill where the great spirits had spoken to the shaman. Stars filled the sky, but there was no moon. Oh, great spirits, she who was alone said, here is my warrior doll. It is the only thing I have for my family who died in the famine. It is my most valued possession. Please accept it. Then, gathering twigs, she started a fire with the glowing fire stick. The small girl watched as the twigs began to catch and burn. She thought of her grandmother and her grandfather, her mother and father, and all the people, their suffering, their hunger, and before she could change her mind, she thrust the doll into the fire. She watched until the flames died down and the ashes had grown cold. Then, scooping up a handful, she who is alone scattered the ashes to the home of the winds, the north and the east and the south and the west. And there she fell asleep until the first light of morning woke her up. She looked out over the hill, and stretching out from all sides where the ashes had fallen, the ground was covered with flowers, beautiful flowers, as blue as the feathers in the hair of the doll, as blue as the feathers of the bird who cries, J, J, J. When the people came out of their teepees, they could scarcely believe their eyes. They gathered on the hill with she who was alone to look at the miraculous sight. There was no doubt about it. The flowers were a sign of forgiveness from the Great Spirit. And as people sang and danced their thanks to the Great Spirits, a warm rain began to fall, and the land began to live again. From that day on, the little girl was known by another name, one who dearly loved her people. And every spring, the Great Spirits remember the sacrifice of the little girl and fill the hills and valleys of the land, now called Texas, with beautiful blue flowers, even to this very day. The end.